Hello, welcome to February 3rd, 2026. It's a Tuesday. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, a live video broadcast exercise that I do each and every day at 5:30 a.m. to remember my life objectives and principles, those which can be read about in my book, Going Alone. I also use this time to think about yesterday and how I did with the unique and challenging opportunities that I met. And did I handle them well? Did I handle them poorly? The stuff right down the middle, I'm not so worried about. Where I'm already tuned, it's on the outer edges. Where I'm doing really well or really poorly. That's where I can learn and improve. So I usually keep notes throughout the day, and I'll review the notes from yesterday and then talk about where I need to tune myself up. I also use this time to review my 8 objectives from the Creed and talk about one of the principles, the 35 principles. There's too many to go over all at once, so I just pick one a day and move forward. Actually, when it comes to the principle, I'll actually read that from the book. And then finally, I'll prepare for the day ahead. But before I do any of that, I always like to welcome new subscribers to the channel. And given that we have a lot of new subscribers, I've had react become more active on YouTube again, and lots of new people are here. So welcome if you're new. Quick bio: I'm a American, almost 62 years old. I'm living here in the Japanese countryside with my wife Yumiko, a Japanese person, and we have a grown daughter Emily who lives up in Tokyo. I make videos about our lives here, and also about the retirement process, and I do this. So, with regard to this, this is a live journal exercise. So, I am at liberty to talk about anything I want for as long or as little as I like. You're welcome to leave comments. I will typically check the first couple of comments just to make sure I'm not doing my typical, sometimes they don't have any audio issues. I see a comment from Robert there. Looks like we're doing good. Thank you, Robert. And you're noting, Robert, that it's already it's -3 degrees Celsius and 55% humidity with an air quality index of 28 in Napanee, Ontario, Canada. Nice to see you, Robert. Stay warm. And Robert chimes in that the AV is good. Thank you, Robert. So I do check the first couple of comments to make sure that no problems are good there. And then I start going. I'll then go through my exercise here, which is sounds like I'll be ignoring comments. It's not that I'm ignoring, well, I am in the moment, but I have to stay focused on my thoughts. And then when I'm done, I'll read and respond to comments then, or criticisms, however you see fit. I welcome criticisms because criticism often helps me to grow in a more succinct. It's sometimes it's like a slap in the face, right? A good bit of criticism uh, that comes from a good place sometimes is what I need to get through when I'm being stubborn or nearsighted. So thanks for bringing it on. All right, but be nice. All right, so with that, oh, and I do just two more things. I do just a little disclaimer. If you're sensitive about the topic of death, I do talk about death pretty much every day in my videos, my own expectations for my own death. So heads up. Finally, huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon and my members on YouTube. I really do appreciate your support. It's your support that allows me to have a copy of Going Alone on my website. That people go there all throughout the day. I mean, I get a little banner on my phone every time someone goes, and I just watch those go through all day long. So it's really neat. I don't know how people stay very long, but uh, they sure do a lot of. There sure is a lot of traffic. So, and it's because of all of you that I am able to have that traffic there. The website is expensive, so thank you. All right, let's get started. First, let's see. Last 24 hours note. I only have 2 notes here. Full day in the garden. I mean, yesterday was definitely the heaviest duty day yet in the garden, as reflected in the garden video that I just released, 6+ hours long. I started the camera at around 9 and finished 6. Let's do the number. 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. It was about 6 hours and 6.25 hours. I must have started the camera at around 9:30 in the morning, and I didn't finish until around 4 p.m. And the whole just let the camera go the whole time. And I was part of the reason that happened was that Yumiko was out running errands, and I was on my own for lunch. So she took care of her dad's lunch, and then she was off doing errands. And she said, "Take care of yourself, Kurt." So I basically just I started the camera, and then when it came lunchtime, I just left the camera running, and I walked down to Family Mart, and got my lunch, and came back and sat on the bench, and look at this thing going nuts. Got this giant campfire going here, and this old antique candle holder. It tends to pool all the wax on the bottom, and it creates this immense fire every time. Fortunately, it has feet. So anyway, so it was a long one, and the reason I'm pointing this out is, yeah, I rarely point things out for their own sake. This isn't that type of a diary. It's not just, "Dear diary, today the sun was warm." No, this is a diary where I want to talk about where I'm meeting the edges, right? And the reason that this is important was yesterday's long day in the garden was important, was it was by far the most energetic and aggressive day that I've spent yet in the garden. And I survived it. I was wiped out in the best way. This thing's really going nuts now. I was wiped out in the best way by the end of the day. I went to bed. I actually went to bed a little late, but it felt good. And I woke up this morning and I feel great. My arms and my muscles and my right hand from the clippers are very sore, and I'm developing some strong calluses on my hand as well from those clippers. But I sustained it very well. And there were times when I was thinking, Kurt, you're changing. Your body is changing, and becoming acclimated to this new aggressive outdoor life, and I like that. So that's important. The other note here says that it was juggling. I'm juggling a lot, even though it may seem like my normal demeanor and countenance has returned. I feel it, like I've said yesterday. The color has returned to the world. If you're new to my channel or new to this, or haven't been keeping up, I'm going through what I call a horror show. The hashtag horror show is a term from my book that refers to really, really bad life situation. I mean, I've got something really bad happening in my worldview right now, in my family, and I was back in America during the month of December to attend to that. I mean, it's just terrible. And it started in October, and for some basically from October until like last week, um, all the color and of the world was drained. I was seeing everything, not literally, but felt like I was seeing everything in black and white, because I just all the joy was gone. And I the horror continues, but I think I've managed it to the best that I can, and I'm still managing. I'm still working on it on a daily basis. But after a while, the world kind of relents and kind of says, "Well, enough of this. Yeah, it's horrifying, but get on with it, Kurt." And I feel like I'm getting on with it. Now, sometimes you'll, if you're new, you might hear me flattering myself. The flattery is not disingenuous, or nor is it for its own sake. It is where I'm trying to point out when I'm doing really well. So here it goes. I'm going to flatter myself a little bit. I'll flatter myself to say that I've made it so far through the horror show, extraordinarily well, extraordinarily mature. I have not once lost control of myself to the extent that I've done or said anything to anybody involved with the horror that I would regret or wish to take back. Again, I'm not saying that just for the sake of pride. I'm saying it because I think that speaks to the fact that the effort of coming up with a creed and applying that creed, and having this daily exercise of going over the objectives and principles so that I keep them foremost in my mind, plus going over my notes every day to to see where the tough spot was so I can tune myself. It's yielding great results now in the face of horror. And that was always the place where I wondered all along. I had been doing this for years and years and years, thinking to myself, yeah, it's enough to just say, Kurt, that you can exercise hashtag temperance and hashtag reason, hashtag apathy, and hashtag social and hashtag family principles. But yeah, it's easy enough on here on this sane and sober, daily, easy, relatively easy life. But what's it going to be like when it gets really hard? And now I've been tested. And I think I have so far come through the test. I'm proceeding through the test very well. Knock on wood. So let's light another candle in this fancy damn thing. Can't get the candle down there far enough. There we go. Okay, now we're off to the races with a new candle. So, but I'm also juggling, in addition to the horror show right now, I'm also juggling my taxes, which I'm in the middle of doing, both my American and my Japanese taxes, which are very complicated. And I'm in the middle. I'm also juggling trying to initiate Social Security. I'm 62 in a few months, and I've decided to go with Social Security at age 62. So all I need to do is pull the trigger and get that started. Anything else I'm juggling? I think that's it. So I've covered yesterday, full day in the garden, and juggling. Now, my creed, as I mentioned before, consists of objectives and principles. The objectives are the things I'm trying to achieve. The principles are the tools that I had to use to get me there. The first objective is to at all times be ready for death. See, I promised I'd talk about it. My own death. Having my affairs and my relationships and my life's work in a good position so that if I keel over right now, my household is not a mess, my relationships are not in disorder, and my life's work, if not complete, is at least in a stable state. So I have to ask myself every day, are you ready to die? Kurt, are you ready to die? And, well, my affairs are certainly in order, mainly meaning my wife will be taken care of after I'm gone. My life's work is complete. My daughter is raised and my book is writ. And my relationships are in good order to the best that I can possibly make them. I only get half the say in each of my relationships. So yeah, I'm ready to die. I hope I get to live another day. I haven't finished raking the garden. So after all, my second objective is to make good use of my days so that I'm not just letting the days sift through my fingers like sand. I want to make good utility of the day, thinking, reading, writing, exercising, spending time in the garden, quality time with my wife, time with my dog, etc. And as much as I can, time with my daughter, who, and now that she's grown and gone, is much more scarce. So that sometimes consists of just sending her messages across the ether saying, thinking about you, hope things are well. My third objective is to develop and maintain good and sound life objectives and principles, which spent the greater portion of my life doing and codifying and going alone. Check. That one is complete. Although I have to work on it every day, which is precisely why I do this good life meditation. This video is the fulfillment of objective number 3. My fourth objective is to cultivate good emotional reactions. Probably the keystone, cornerstone, most important part of the active engagement and in utilization of my creed is the ability to control my emotions so that I maintain my sobriety and common sense in the face of adversity and difficulty and surprise. And I'm pretty good at that now. It's really, really rare for anything to take me by surprise anymore. I'm surprised sometimes after the fact that things that surprised me didn't surprise me more. There's a sentence. My fifth objective is to um, um, make good, do good things relative to the values in the book. That means I need to be pursuing virtue at all times, where virtue is nothing more than the decisions and actions that help to improve the well-being of thinking creatures. It's a long-winded way to say that I want to strive to be be good, not just not just to be virtuous in action as well as in philosophy. That's a good way to put it, if I do say so myself. And then the sixth objective is to do recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, so that I'm not asking myself more than I can do, or that is reasonable, or or uh, or even making sure I'm not doing things that are outside of my scope or trespassing on um, uh, the responsibilities of others, right? Unduly, and especially without being invited to do so, or offered to do so, or conspired to do so. My seventh objective is to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and very carefully. And my eighth objective is to achieve and maintain a state of balance in life so that I'm not off my footing in either body or mind as a consequence of living the best life that I possibly can. So, objective number 8 is achieved as an emergent effect emergent artifact of the pursuit of the first 7 objectives. As for my 35 principles, there are just one I'm going to read right now, and that is called That Which Must Be Borne. That's Borne, carried. Let me open the book. And grab a light. That Which Must Be Borne is on page 261 of the hardbound edition of Going Alone. Here we go. That which must be borne. And the sub principle of hand on the tiller. I do this a lot. I inject a lot of nautical themes into my objectives and principles. Something about the sea and the, the agency, the seeming agency of the sea, right, has a mind of its own sometimes, even if it is mindless. And the sea is a great place to discover our limits, right? So I often enlist the sea in helping me to flesh out my values. That which must be borne. Life presents us with various burdens of many sorts, tasks, duties, responsibilities, as well as circumstances, both apprehended and unexpected, which we must shoulder, lift, and carry despite our will, want, attitude, health, or even our desire. Life gives us responsibilities and trials, not in an agentic way, but in a consequential way, right? In a deterministic kind of way. Um, there's a loaded word right there, right? Boy, did I actually say deterministic there? Did I play my hand? I sure did. So life gives us all of life presents us like, well, it's more like the waves on the sea. As much as the sea isn't presenting these waves, the waves are simply the fact of themselves, right? And we have to muster our energies and shoulder these burdens. Continuing, these are the things which we simply must do to fulfill our living mandate from biology. Sure, some choose to not carry such burdens, though they do so not without consequence. Right? The universe, if not consciously, it seems to in some ways be taking notes. Therefore, as long as this is what we must be and do and how we must live, then why not press forward with a smile and eyes lifted towards the sun and the stars and the light which is the better part of our lives? Let us press on despite the weight, move forward in spite of our fatigue, and live on while mindful and feeling and suffering our weak bodies, frail minds, and inevitable consequent death. Such a muster. Now, here's the part about the sea. I remember specifically adding that paragraph when I was inspired by the sea, and I thought, I'm going to add a bit of the sea to that which must be borne. Here we go. So think of it basically saying the same thing under a nautical setting. And I'm often, whenever I deal with the sea, always drift into reflections of Odysseus. Steady, and Evelyn, if you're out there, a nod to your, I think you're currently reading either the Iliad or the Odyssey, right? Steady on course, declares the master from the deck. Hold the rudder tight against the wind and the against current and your fear and your doubt and upset and sense of drift and loss and ambush, even by the forces of seeming nature, capital N, and the draw of the seeming fates, capital F, towards the maelstrom at port side and the siren rocks starboard. I deliberately chose that language in remembrance of Odysseus's passage past the rocks of the sirens. And I always pictured the sirens at the starboard side of the ship. Quick, declare the crew, lash the master to the mast, the master being each of us. Lash the master to the mast and unstop his ears before we ourselves shut up our own hearing with wax and throw all our weight to hold the ship straight on course. The fans of the Odyssey will hopefully gain that reference. Thus, we learn the secrets of the song of the demon sea hags while keeping our vision and direction intact against their sway. Will we soon enough go down and drown within the sea? Of course we will, but not before we first sail like men. or women if you like. Sometimes my own writing, maybe it shouldn't, but it does. I guess. Well, I guess why do we write? We write to be satisfied that we have an idea in our head that we wish to convey and to at least record and get out of our system. And that particular section there, especially that last bit, really did the number for me. Where I even feel like, okay, it's out of me. It's there. It is. It's on paper. It's in my book. I'm going to be dead soon, and even if not soon, soon and at least I got it out. There's something very, very satisfying and offering a great sense of completion and satisfaction at having done such a thing. And I call that in the book the season of philosophy. The season of philosophy is the time of life when the candle is burning. And this is only a short candle; it'll only burn for a short while, and I have a little bit of time to get down whatever ideas are in mind while the candle burns. Because once the candle goes out, the light is gone, the inspiration, the moment has passed. You get the idea. Okay, as for the next 24 hours, hey, it's Tuesday. It's my working day. Boy, man, I never would have been so this happy about going to work when I was before I retired. Wait a minute, you retired, but you work? Yeah, I will retire, but I work. I retired and I stayed retired for a full year. I did my best and I didn't like it so much. I really needed to work a little bit. This is for the new subscribers. So I went ahead and got myself a job. I work an hour and a half every Tuesday and then in the morning and then an hour and a half every Thursday in the afternoon. It is just enough time to wet the whistle, to come in, like have a little sample of the bar of chocolate at the sweets counter without overindulging, without too much, and then I'm on my way. But more important than the work is the process of the readiness for it, the waking up in the morning, saying that today's a day of work, making sure my satchel is there, my lessons are planned. I did that. I planned the lessons yesterday, going into town, riding on the train, having lunch downtown in a restaurant. All that stuff is part and parcel of it, on top of it all. And after 40 years of hard work and working at the grindstone, it's hard to give that up wholesale. So after a year I decided to go back to work part-time so that I can enjoy and benefit from the circumstance of labor, which I'm still clearly not completely divorced from. Let's read comments, shall we? And hello to new subscribers. So many new subscribers to the channel. So if you're new here, welcome. We usually have a steady group of regulars in this session, and all are welcome. And let me go ahead and read through. Again, reading Robert's comment earlier about the weather. Good to see Robert. It is dang cold there, and thanks for the audio check in the morning. There's a note from April, Udatsu Adventures. Good morning, April. April says, good morning to myself and Robert. Elvina, hello, Elvina. Elvina notes, says hello to myself and Robert, and notes it's -5 here in Mimiko. Wow, just a little colder. You beat out Robert. Yeah, very sunny again. Southwest winds. The groundhog says we're in for an early spring. It feels, I think the groundhog's right. It really feels like spring is on its way. I uncovered a mukade giant Japanese centipede in the garden yesterday, and I discovered when I put on my shirt this morning that I had a beetle on it. And I think the beetle came out from my leaf uncoverings, and I was rolling around practically in the bamboo forest. Uh, um, uh, what do you call it? Mulch. Dry mulch. Robert says hello to April with a happy red hand. Robert says hi to Elvina. Elvina says hello to April. Tim, there's Tim. Good morning, Tim. Weather check for the UK at 8:34 p.m. is 5 degrees Celsius and 97% humidity. Dull, dank, and drizzly day. No sunshine today. Boy, how many days in this year 2026 have you had that are rainy days, Tim? It seems like almost every one of them. I think you got out for a walk once, like wasn't it yesterday? Walking. I hope you have a good day, Tim. Tim says hello to Robert, April, and Elvina. Evelyn, there's Evelyn. Hello, says hi to myself, Robert, and Ms. Udatsu, Elvina, and Tim. Twin Lamps, there's a name from a very familiar name. Hello, Twin Lamps. Good morning to you. Good. Twin Lamps says good morning to myself. Finally catching alive. 1 degree Celsius and 60% humidity in southern Kyushu. It's that cold way down there. Wow. Tim says the millipede was kind of scary. Don't they sting? I would fancy that crawling into my bed at night. They are, and it was actually a centipede, not a millipede. Centipedes are vegetarians. Millipedes, I'm sorry, it was. it was a centipede, not a millipede. Millipedes are vegetarians. Centipedes are carnivores, and they are that creature that you saw is a voracious hunter, usually moving very fast. It was so torpid because I'd been turning the soil, and I'm sure I upsetted it from its deep underground burrow, and it came to the surface. I was actually working in the bamboo forest, and I saw like a jays type of bird attacking it on the ground and I ran over and I rescued the centipede from the jay, and I made a little short video, and then I found a hole that led back to the underground, and I positioned the centipede right in front of the hole, and it went right down the hole. So hopefully it's slept tight last night, safe from the cold. Oh, by the way, it looks like it's just a touch above 0 degrees here. Tim says, and yeah, I wouldn't want that in our bed at night, and they do get in our house, Tim, and they do get in our bed. Uh, and they do bite like hell. And actually, you might find this interesting, Tim. The biting isn't from mouth parts; it's the first two legs of the centipede are reconditioned or evolved into piercing mouth parts. So it's actually their legs that they're doing that with, and they do inject venom. Tim says hello to Evelyn, and Elvina says hello to Tim, Evelyn, and Twin Lamps. Twin Lamps says hi to Elvina and everyone else in the chat. Elvina says, "Oh, that millipede was scary looking. I don't mind the crawlies as long as I see them before they see me." Well put. Twin Lamp says to Penguin, aka Tim, "They sure have a very painful bite. I don't think I have met anyone who likes them here." Wow, have you been bitten, Twin Lamps? I'm sorry to hear that if that's the case. And they pretty much freak everybody out here too. And that one that you saw yesterday wasn't as big as they get. They get bigger still. Tim says, "We don't get scorpions in the UK, but some were found here in this city called Birmingham, and they became established and bred. They think they had been imported in foodstuffs, and then found their way." Wow. Tim says, "Into the wild. I think scorpions are the worst insect. They are pretty scary too." Twin Lamp says to me, Kurt's centipede, or he's noting Kurt's centipede video was pretty cool though. It was a beautiful example of a fully grown mucade, and usually they are so fast and difficult to film. Well, you're right, they are, especially once they detect something big is around them. They're out of here, aren't they? I was kind of lucky to get such detailed filming close up. Tim says, "It was a great example, nice colors and wouldn't fancy incoming in the house. Unsure if they do." I was thinking about getting a little terrarium for the window here to put such finds, not to keep them for very long, but just to observe them for a day or two. And I was looking at a terrarium 2 weeks ago. I kind of wish I had got it. Twin Lamp says, "Unfortunately, they definitely come into the house. They certainly definitely come into the house. In fact, Yumiko and I keep a care of, of, of tongs, like barbecue tongs, by the front door, specifically to remove them because they're too big and aggressive to be like grabbing with a paper towel. So you want to grab them with the tongs and let them go." Twin Lamp says, "My coworker gets them so bad that he has to shake out his shoes during summer before putting them on because they are flat enough to get through his front door." My neighbor just across the street, he was telling me he got bit in the foot because of that this year as well. Yeah, they get in your shoe. Twin Lamps goes on, "Mukade eat cockroaches, which can be a pest here, so they're pretty common near people." Tim says, "I've suddenly gone off living in Japan." LOL, joke. "I stayed with family in Australia and tackled a ginormous spider in the bathroom. Thankfully, not poisonous. It's usually the small ones. It must have been a huntsman spider, probably, those big ones." Japan Monomor says, "Wow, almost missed the stream. Well, I'm glad you're here." Hi, Japan Monomor says, "Hello to everybody." Tim says hi to Jaman Monomore. Elvina says to Penguin, aka Tim, "Those huntsman spiders are pretty intimidating, are they not?" Japan Monomore says, "Hey there, Tim," or "Hi there, Tim." Tim says, "I saw plenty of those in Australia, Elvina, but outside. Luckily, none came into the house." So if you're familiar with them, I wonder what it was in the house. If it was big, but it wasn't a huntsman, I wonder what it was. Hopefully nothing dangerous. Twin Lamp says, "I think that Iliad and Odyssey were the most influential books for me. I remember as a child reading the child-friendly versions and thinking, what kind of world is this in the best way?" Me too. I read the Odyssey in my teens, and it was very influential to me as well. And it's the kind of book that's so important from a literary sense that if you're interested in great literature from like American or English literature from the 18th, 19th centuries, the Iliad or the classics in particular, but and classics in general, but Homer in particular are indispensable if you want to read those, if you want to read great literature from later periods and understand the references which often occur, right? Twin Lamp says, hope work for the day goes well. Thank you. I hope so too. Roberts. And oh, and then after that, I'm meeting a viewer. We're having a tea at noon. One of a viewer from YouTube is going to meet me. We're going to meet downtown. Hope work day goes well. Thank you, Tim. Robert says hello to Tim, Evelyn, Twin Lamps in Japan Monomore. Japan Monomore says, I have the children's version of the Trojan War and Jason and the Argonauts with the brilliant illustrations of the late Janet and Anne Graham Johnston. Nice. Japan Monomore says, hello to Evelyn. Tim says, I forgot what the sun looks like. LOL, at least out for another walk today. So, okay. I hope you stay dry enough and that the returns soon enough. Japan Monomore says, guys, before we know it, we're going to be, spring is going to be here, and we're going to be, forecasting the hot days of summer. It's fun to share these days and these transitions with all of you. Japan Monomore says, could the muck have gotten in the house? Oh, the mukade. They can and they do. We find them in the house here. Like I said, we have the tongs up by the front. This one in particular can't. It's far enough. The garden's far enough away outside, and it went deep underground before. I wanted to make sure it was safe before the jay could get it. Sorry, I meant the centipede. Doesn't it have more legs than millipedes? Millipedes have more. Centipedes, I think, and I do have a degree in biology with a specialization in entomology, the study of insects, even though technically speaking, centipedes and millipedes are not insects, they are arthropods. Um, and so here's the thing. Centipede, centi means 100, so it has, so you think about it literally, it's 100 leg. Pede means is leg, so 100 legs. Milla from 1,000 is 1,000 legs, so send 100 legs and 1,000 legs. It's easy to sort them out that way. Now technically they don't actually have 1,000 or 100, but you get the idea. If you look at a millipede up close, you can see they usually have a lot more legs. Elvina says, time for me to get moving. Have a great day, everyone. You too, Elvina. Be safe but not too safe on your journey through the day, or be as safe as you want to be. I shouldn't force my personal admonitions onto others. Evelyn says, hi to Japan Monomore and Twin Lamps. Robert says goodbye to Evelyn. Bye, Evelyn. And actually, it was Elvina who was leaving. So Tim says, unsure what the spider in the house was, but it was really large. It was too fast to catch. My uncle sprayed it with hairspray. LOL. I shouldn't laugh. Poor spider, but that's kind of funny. It got sprayed with hairspray. I wonder if that helped. But frozen in place, and it ran off. Millipedes send up a stink as a defense, but I may be wrong. Japan Monomura says, I don't know about that. Tim says, thanks, Kurt. Learned about centipedes and millipedes today. There you go. Dreamcatcher Acre Farms. Haven't seen you for a while. Welcome back. Good morning, Kurt, and everyone. Well, everybody, I think we've reached the end of comments and the end of my meditation for the day. I do appreciate those that have stopped by to join. Welcome to new subscribers. And for those that are watching the video that didn't leave a comment, that are just observing, feel free to, I'm glad you're here. Feel free to pop in comments anytime you want. You're welcome here any day, every day. And I'm always here at this time unless I'm dead. No, I'll be. I shouldn't see. I told you, I warned you up front. I talk about my own death in a rather flippant manner. Unless I'm dead or really sick, I'll be here. Or unless I'm going through the horror show like I did. I took a month off during the horror show while I was sorting things out. Otherwise, I'm here usually every day at 5:30 a.m. Japan time. You are welcome here as well. Wishing everybody the best. Be safe, but not too safe. Take care.